Blu-ray stacking up, yeah, the collection grows. Singing like nobody's watching, let the good times flow. Movies on repeat, yeah, he living that life. Great guy, big heart, yeah, he doing it right. Screen light glowing while the speakers bang. Sammy G vibing to the scenes and the frames. Love for the art, yeah, the passion stay true. From the first press play to the end credits roll.
Hello all, welcome back to another video and welcome to Sammy G's World of Cinema. Today on the channel I am going to do another movie review, and I just thought what better way to do a movie review on Friday the 13th than do a review of a Friday the 13th movie. And I thought, do you know what? That is exactly what I was going to do here. It's a first time watch for me, this entry, sorry, but all the Friday the 13th sequels have been first time watches for me for the last few months and stuff. But yeah, before I do get onto this review, guys, a couple obviously shout outs. Jordan at Movie Worm has been going through the Friday the 13th film series like on his horror channel. He's kind of, I think, reviewing each movie at a time there, but also Carlos at Eastwood for Life fan and Nige Rock God 2004. I think they've been doing their like horror discussion, I think, on the Friday the 13th movies over on, I think it's Davey at Forgotten Horror Channel's channel there. I think they've had a collab discussion about Friday the 13th, and Darren at Mr. Sandsman, I think's been like, I think he's done like some like Friday the 13th related content recently. So I just thought I'd give it like a few shout outs here. But yeah, Jason Goes to Hell. So the first Friday film on the New Line Cinema. A few years after Jason Takes Manhattan, which was the last Friday film on Paramount, the original 8-film run there. But yeah, Jason Goes to Hell came out 1993 and it is starring John D. Lime, apologies guys if I pronounced that wrong, Carrie Keegan, Erin Gray, Alison Smith, Stephen Culp, Stephen Williams, and Kane Hodder there. Tony Todd actually auditioned for the role of Crichton Duke, kind of like that sheriff in the film, and also but that obviously went to Stephen Williams. Laurie Holden was the original casting choice for Jessica Kimball, but Sean Cunningham persuaded Adam Marcus and Dean Laurie to cast Carrie Keegan instead. The production began on July the 20th, 1992 in LA. Cunningham stepped in as director in the final few days of filming Jason Goes to Hell, and half of the film was reshot because Cunningham wasn't impressed with the original intended version of the film there. Adam Marcus, interestingly, first-time director, kind of a new kid on the block at the time, and kind of a newcomer to like the director's worlds there, and he was intended to direct the Disney Touchstones Pictures feature film My Boyfriend's Back, the title is, and Disney at that time weren't looking for a first-time director. Of course, this is Adam Marcus's first ever feature-length film, and I think he's a long-time fan of the film series. He did direct, I think it was Texas Chainsaw, the 2013 reboot. Basically, we focus on like there's a FBI agent at the start of the film. She's kind of like just browsing through like the house, and she basically pranks Jason into this trap along with his SWAT team to basically kill Jason on his own 2 feet there. Meanwhile, Jason's remains and the remainders of like his body, his dead body, is basically taken to this hospital, this morgue, which basically I think it is like his heart, I think it is basically just eaten up by this doctor, and then basically a part of Jason is attached to this doctor, and Jason kind of Voorhees is kind of sort of in a new form, after death sort of thing. So like the remains of Jason with this heart is somewhat kind of reborn and rebirthed into like this new body in this new form through this doctor, and vice versa. Basically, there is a couple of these teenage couples at Camp Crystal Lake. They kind of, as a classic Friday trope and a classic Friday film would, they are acquainted with Jason. Jason strikes again there, and then basically Jason is into another form and another new form there, and that's kind of like the film constantly flipping on its head there. But also, as well as that, it is known that Jason is dead and he was killed. Crichton Duke, however, is scratching his head thinking, hang on a minute, I think they might have got it a little bit wrong here. There's been a couple of killings that's happened afoot here, but also he has kind of got a bit of a wisdom and knowledge and kind of done his research into kind of what Jason Voorhees is capable of, kind of self-aware as well, that Jason can be fully resurrected any way, shape or form, face to face with one of his relatives, and his one of his relatives, one of his family members, that he can be fully resurrected again. But the only way for Jason to basically get fully killed is by one of the family members to kill Jason Voorhees with a magic dagger there. So that is a bit about the plot, and what's my thoughts on Jason Goes to Hell. Oh my god, guys, I've got to say, this was such a fun ride. I had such a great fucking time with this film right here. This was so much fun, taking the film series into a whole new avenue, a whole new direction, where it's kind of like, you see Jason kind of, there's a new look about Jason that you kind of see more of towards the end of the film, but you can see the remains of Jason is very much showing its presence and showing its kind of brutality from this new form to this new form, and it's kind of a bit of a body horror thing going on there. But yeah, that is kind of what I really admired about this film. I also really liked how this film was a bit of a throwback to the Voorhees family tree there. You know, you've got obviously the introduction of, well, Jessica Kimball, but at the start you've got, I think it is Diana, who is, you know, like related to Jason as well. And also Jessica, I think it's her daughter Stephanie as well. So there's a little bit of a family trend going on there, and it kind of has a little bit of a callback to the Voorhees family, because I think earlier on in the film series you kind of see that is more kind of iconic with obviously Jason's mother, but it's kind of nice to have another Friday installment that is kind of taking, again, recognition for his family tree there. I absolutely loved the special effects and practical work that went into this film. It was so much fun to watch. It kind of used it to its full advantage there from like an entertainment point of view. That whole scene where you would see one face melt, it gave me a bit of a vibe there of something like you would see in a David Cronenberg film, but a bit of a slice of John Carpenter's The Thing. Also a film called Hidden as well, and possibly Terminator 2, there was a couple of vibes I had from those films. I really enjoyed the screen presence between Jessica and Stephen. And Stephen, you kind of feel sorry for him at one point because he's getting the finger pointed at him for something that he didn't do. And he's learning a bit more about Jason, what he's capable of. Again, Crichton Duke, I think, absolutely steals the show in terms of the knowledge and the wisdom behind Jason Voorhees and what a murderous slasher villain Jason is. And again, that knowledge is used to its full advantage because Stephen gets a real kind of wake-up call there, and he is in a little bit of a sort of a drastic and real kind of sort of daunting, you know, like position there, but he's kind of want to break away and shy away from that, kind of learn more and discover more of the Voorhees family. And the only way he can do that, go to the Voorhees family home to get a bit more of an understanding. He would be there for like a bit of a segment of a film. He would stumble upon a character. He kind of discovers secrets beyond his wildest of imaginations. And then he learns that there is something else afoot there that is very much, you know, like, obviously has a resemblance of Jason Voorhees there. And then he discovers this drastic death through his very eyes, and he's like, holy shit, Crichton Duke wasn't bullshitting here. There is a new form of Jason come to town here, and he's got to warn as many people as he can in the best way, shape possible. Also, there is some absolutely brutal kills there. One brutal kill I did not predict from a mile off that happened inside this tent. Holy shit, my jaw hit the floor when that just came out of nowhere. Also, one brutal scene by this sort of floorboards and by this car as well in this alleyway. You know, as I say, the brutality, immortal side of Jason is very much still within, alive in its presence in the after death there. I liked how this film had a very experimental side about it, and again, that whole operation scene I just think worked super well with the opening credits. There was this like TV reporter, like this news reporter knows a bit more that about Jason that is led to believe there. Thriller side to it, a little bit of an investigation side, but I think the choice of going through for the family dynamic was a great choice there. What I really liked about this film was, guys, oh my god, some of my favourite scenes in this film was through this diner. I've got a soft spot for when a diner is used in a film. God, there was a couple of characters that just cracked me up. God, Crichton Duke, cracked me up a couple times. He just made me chuckle. There's one scene with an FBI agent. I think he said something along the lines of, do you know what? I'm going to take a giant shite on like a Jason's mask here. Oh, there was some really corny, cheesy dialogue that you just couldn't help but love. That's that sort of comedic side of the film there. There's one scene where this lady is so abrupt and brass at this diner, and oh my god, some of the dialogue and some of the shit she came out with, guys. It just had me howling at one point. I was just bursting out with laughter there, but I was just having such a ball with some of the the decision making from a character's point of view there. Stephen Williams was a perfect casting choice for Crichton Duke, although I think Tony Todd still would have been a solid casting choice there. But again, when you see Jason is fully comes to town yet again, you see him with the mask, but with like kind of a somewhat different look there, but very reminiscent and resemblance with the Jason Voorhees that we all know, obviously, like from number 3 and onwards. And I did really like this new look of Jason. It had a little bit of a breath of fresh air and a bit of a reset button as well. And I think you can tell this is the Friday film that has the most kind of different 180 and feel about it, with it being like a new line cinema product. And it's really good that it's taken recognition of what came before it, but you know, like go with something a bit of a new 180 and it rolls with it. And that's what I really enjoyed about this entry. I did really like the character work in this. This one scene by the diner, oh my god, my jaw hit the floor there. But yeah, and also an absolute badass final act. You kind of have to suspend your belief when going into that final act of the film, and it has that kind of the magic spell and the magic feel that again is kind of a new trope for the Friday film series in this entry, but god, it does it well, to be fair. And again, I just found this film just entertaining as fuck. And there's that final showdown is pretty fun loving. Again, I do know this film gets a little bit of a bad rap. Kind of went into this film going in knowing it's going to be cheesy, corny, but it's another Friday film at the end of the day. And was I entertained? God, yes. Was this film so much fun? Absolutely. Par with the original? No. But I took it for what it is, its own thing, a new identity for the film series. And I've got to say, guys, it's got its flaws. It isn't a perfect film by any stretch of the imagination, but God, I was entertained from the opening scene to the end credits there. So also really nice ending to the film, to this film. Going back to what I said about a whole new 180, I think this film goes above and beyond with a whole new 180 within Jason X, which I will be checking out next because I had such a ball with this. I can imagine this would just make such a fantastic time at a cinema with a full audience, with possibly having a get together with a few friends and have a couple of drinks and just enjoying every single minute of what this film has to offer. Just great character work, a really just entertaining, enjoyable entry from the off. But Adam Marcus, for his first time directorial feature, he did, in my opinion, this film series justice with this fun-loving entry into the film series, and it's just such a great time all round, in my opinion. I'm gonna give Jason Goes to Hell an 8 out of 10 there. That could be super generous, and I know this film gets its detractors, but I do understand as well, like Jason X, this film has maintained a bit of a cult following, and it's nice to see this film. I think it's getting a bit more love than what it used to. It kind of feels like the Batman Forever sort of like kind of entry into this film series, if that makes sense. But also there's like a prison scene as well in this film that did remind me a little bit of the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I did notice that there was like a book that felt very much like a carbon copy almost of the Book of the Dead, obviously from the Evil Dead film series. So Jason Goes to Hell now become one of my favourite Friday films here, and I had such a great time with this. I absolutely will be watching this again in the future. Hopefully one day reshown at the cinema with a full house crowd. I'm in, I'm there. Let's go for that. That's the Arrow 4K and the 4K transfer. I don't have any other format to compare it to, guys, but this transfer was stunning. And yeah, just that's Arrow edition there. And just to show you my edition there, guys. Some of the practical work in here, man. Oh god, it was great. And that's another thing, you see Jason with a sword there as well. By the way, guys, I believe there was a little bit of a disagreement between Sean S. Cunningham and Adam Marcus during like one or two scenes. So yeah, it's been interesting reading up about like this film series, and this has got a lot of info in there. The poster, of course. I'll hold it properly your way, Sam. So that's the Arrow 4K, and yeah, love to have the original artwork on there, but also nice that my first ever time owning this was on this old school VHS there. The Final Friday. So yeah, that's my VHS edition and the 4K Arrow edition there of Jason Goes to Hell. Do let me know your thoughts on Jason Goes to Hell, and what's your thoughts on this film? What's your thoughts on the Friday film series as a whole? I would love to know all of that good stuff in the comments down below there. Do let me know some of your favourite Friday films or your least favourite Friday films. I would love to know all of that good stuff in the comments down below there. So thanks for watching. Cheers for stopping by. And until next time, I'll see you for the next video. Bye-bye. Take care, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Lights low, screen glow. Sammy G in the zone, let him know. Sammy G strolling in the shot like what's new. Case is shining, yeah, you know what to do. Another flick in his hand, yeah, it's coming back home. Shelf getting heavy, but the passion's full grown from classics to the wild new scenes. Director's cut life, yeah, he living them dreams. No dust on the vision, just loving the frame. Every movie got a memory, every memory got a name. He don't chase clout, he chased that art. Cinema running deep, straight part of the heart. Press play, let the world fade out. Singing every word like nobody's watching now.